Thanks, Tom. I just want to say, the fact that we have such a good crowd and we've gotten so much attention this year, I think that there's a lot of things going on in town that we're all starting to pay attention to. And I don't want to be negative. I don't want my message to be negative at all. I think that we have a lot of great things that are happening in town. I think that we all live here for a reason. I think that it's a fabulous time to live in. My wife Brittany and I and our family, we're really proud to live here. But going forward, we want to make sure that the town it prospers and we continue to be on the right path between the school systems and town government, making sure things run well. I mean, we want to make sure our roads are plowed. We want to make sure, the fire department and the police department are well funded, so we don't have any problems. But in order for this to happen, we really need to make sure that the town government is functioning properly and it's financed properly, and the decisions that are being made properly. Because if we start to go down that road of and I don't want to call it bankruptcy, but we know that we're having some financial problems in town. There's no doubt about it. I mean, there's an override lingering. They're starting to talk about new schools. I mean, we want to make sure that the school systems function properly. It's a direct impact on our property values. I think everybody gets it. I think we really need to make sure that things are functioning properly. Let me move in some of these slides here so I can show you basically where I'm heading with this stuff here. Okay. Well, let me start off by telling a little more about myself. We'll start with the slide program here. I grew up in Easton. I think a lot of you know that because there are a few people that I went to high school with here. I've probably lived here for 37 years. I graduated from Oliver Ames High School. I went to Bridgewater State College, got a degree in economics. I've spent the last several years working towards my MPA, which is public administration. I'm a few classes short on my master's degree in that, so I do have a little bit of background in the education department as far as town government goes. As far as my family, I got my daughter Ainsley, who's my co-pilot here tonight. My wife Brittany and my son Dalen, who's here in the green shirt. So I'm glad they're here to watch us. So it's great. We made the decision to live here just because we're so committed to the town. My wife Brittany grew up here, and we really have strong roots in the community, and we really want to continue to live here and prosper. I decided 6 years ago to get involved in town government, and not because I had some sort of a craving for leadership or anything like that. I just wanted to give back. I knew a lot about zoning and whatnot, so I ended up joining the Zoning Board of Appeals. And I enjoyed it. I met a lot of nice people, and I learned a lot about the process of how the zoning Board of Appeals works, etc. And then I ended up getting involved with Finance Committee. I spent 3 years on the Finance Committee with, matter of fact, Carol Nessler and Kim Du Bois were the co-chairs at the time. So I learned a lot from them. It was interesting at times. And then currently I'm still on the Zoning Board of Appeals, but I'm also on the Board of Health. So I've spent the last 2 years on the Board of Health. So I do have a lot of experience in municipal government. So I do feel like I do bring a lot to the table as far as how things work and government itself. I really didn't, I didn't really crave the leadership part of this, but I have to admit, over the last few years, I've witnessed some things take place that I'm concerned about. I have a lot of concerns about it. I'm just not comfortable with some of the decisions that are being made and some of the directions that we're heading in as far as the town goes. And as far as you know, as far as my priorities, you know, let me just move this down here. My main priorities, as you can see, is our financial future, long-term future, and short-term. The town government future, as far as like the charter change, they're suggesting that they want to change the charter. They basically want to cut the citizens out of town government. I'll get a little into that in a minute, and then also, you know, as far as just I feel like the town government has gotten very divisive over the last several years. You know, over the last. Say the last. I was going to yell at my kids for a minute there, but we're back in business. You know, I feel like the government has gotten a little divisive. You know, I feel like we have become so divided as a town, and it's hurtful because you get a lot of people who want to be involved, and you know, they're not really being heard as far as the residents go, and even the volunteers. You know, it gets a little concerning. I think that everyone should at least be heard. You know, and there should be some consensus on where we're heading as a town. You know, let me. I don't know if you guys noticed, but I'm not a professional public speaker, so bear with me here.
Doing great.
Thank you. You know, why don't I start? I'll just run down the three things that are my priorities, and then we can move on to Randy here, because he's probably going to be a lot more entertaining than me.
Probably.
You know.
You got our vote, Dave.
All right. All right. So, you know, let's look at the finances. You know, the finances are a big problem. We're obviously not doing well financially. We're heading for overrides. We need new schools. I think part of the big problem is, you know, if you start dissecting what's going on, you got a $72 million budget, you got $60 million or $58 million that's going into salaries. I think going forward, we really need to start thinking about how we're conducting business as a government. You know, and I'm not suggesting that we don't honor contracts or you know, take care of the people that are working there. I think if we have deals with people, we should continue to honor those deals. But I think going forward with new employees, I mean, you know, we really got to start thinking outside of the box. I mean, maybe there's a lot of suggestions on how we could handle it, but I think that needs to be looked at. I think you know, this past fall we passed an operational audit.
Nice.
I think it was a lot of work. We got it through. It was overwhelming on the amount of people that showed up to vote for it, and I think it's very telling. My goal as selectman is I really want to try to initiate an automatic audit every 5 years, or you know, have it worked into the budget. Basically, even if we did over the 5 years, we do like 1/5, you know, one section a year. I think it's important that we start to try to figure out how we're spending money and making sure we're spending it the right way. So, you know, that and the other thing that is really important to me is we don't really have any long-term planning. Matter of fact, we don't even really have short-term planning. We just, you know, we set these budgets up, we spend money, and then we figure it out the next year. And I think that's I think it's irresponsible. I think that, you know, we need to think about maybe creating some sort of decision matrix, some sort of a 5-year plan. You know, we're collective bargaining, and we don't even know how much money we're going to have the next year. And they're setting up these deals, and I don't think it's fair to the people that are working for the town, and I don't think it's fair to the residents, the taxpayers. So I think that's a big emphasis for me as far as why I'm running, because I think we really need to take a hard look at how we're conducting business as a government. You know, we're getting there, so bear with me here.
Point number 2.
Economic development. I think it's in a way it's our downfall and it's our solution to our problems. I think that I think that they seem to be pushing economic development, and I think that their definition of it is a little backwards, frankly. As you'll see, we're starting to push into populating the town with apartments, and I just don't. I'm not a big fan of the apartment situation. I think that trying to achieve the 10% affordable mandate, it was worthy, but I think that they did it in such an irresponsible way that they have jeopardized our finances of town. We're starting to face population growth with the kids in schools. I think that the lion's share of the problem with our budget problems is that they're going to be flooding kids into the school. We've had over 500 apartments in just a few short years, and I think that they're being irresponsible, and I think that we really need to kind of slow it down and figure out where we're at, and then move forward from there. But as far as economic development, their definition of mine is a little different. I think that we should be thinking more about expanding our commercial base. We got some really good opportunities with the sewer coming into certain areas. I think that we should be more concentrated on small and medium-sized businesses, restaurants, things that we enjoy. I think that ultimately that's pure revenue. It really is. I think that ultimately that's really going to be a big help on resolving a lot of these problems we have. Okay, and then I could go on and on with these subjects, but I'm going to keep it kind of short. One of the last things is we have they're suggesting a charter change. Right now we have a town hall meeting. The residents have the opportunity to come in and vote for budgets and different items. I don't think it's perfect. I think that there's some things that they could be doing to generate more interest, get people down there to be more involved. What they're suggesting, in a nutshell, really, is they want to eliminate that. They want to have a panel of 9 elected people who make all the financial decisions, make all the decisions. And I think it's dangerous. In the way they have designed it, it's in the face of democracy, frankly. And I think that we're going to run into a lot of problems. You think about what's taking place now in town. There's just no. They kind of make their decisions, and they don't really give you an opportunity. They pass things, and then they say, "Oh yeah, this is how we're going to do it." And I'm sorry if you don't like it, but you should have showed up to the meeting, and we've had all these other meetings. So ultimately, I think that we really need to either revise it, their plan, or defeat it as it's set up. So. Okay, and that kind of brings me into the last section. I think that as a community, I think that we really need to start becoming a lot more inclusive. I think that we have a lot of good volunteers in town. I think that Easton's a great community, it really is. We get a lot of people that volunteer, and you couldn't ask for better people. Every time that there's any sort of a benefit or an operation where you give a cleanup, you think about how many people show up, and it's warming. You don't see that in other communities, not very often. And I think that that's what makes Easton really, really special. And there's a lot of things going on as far as you hear about all these opiate addiction problems, and a lot of times you tend to think that it's like a police problem and all that, but I think it's more of a community problem, and I think we really need to, as a community, come together and start addressing these type of social problems. And ignoring it is it's irresponsible. I really do. I think we need to think about coming up with some ideas, funding. You know, and I know Pat Brophy was the DARE officer. He always did a great job. You know, and I know even at the high school level they don't have. I mean, I know there's a resource officer, but they don't have a DARE officer. And you know, I remember Pat doing his DARE presentations, and you know, it really did. It had a lot of impacts on a lot of us. You know, they would bring in speakers to talk about it. I think that money should go to stuff like that. You know, you got to get these kids early, and you gotta change things around. I mean, we had, you know, we had 30 overdoses in Easton. I think it was 30 in 1 year. I think it was. Was that what it was? 30 in 1 year. 39 reported overdoses and deaths in 2015. So that's insane. I didn't even. I mean, I was flabbergasted when I heard that. And you know, I feel that a lot of people, they just want to cover it up, and they don't want to hurt the image of the town. But I think covering it up is,
Right, Dan.
you know, I think it's something that really it needs to be addressed. I think we all have to come together, and I think that, you know, I don't think there's any perfect solution, but I think that if we start putting heads together and we try to resolve these type of problems, I think it would be a benefit to the community altogether. So. That was my last slide right there. That was I should have clicked on it, I didn't. Okay, and that's the end of my slideshow. So anyway, you know, I know you're all here to support me, and I appreciate it. I'm really hungry. I was afraid to eat the ribs because I didn't want to have stuff in my teeth. I haven't eaten supper, so I'm starving. But you know, thank you everybody for coming. I'm very humbled that the amount of people that showed up. And hopefully there's more people out there than just us that are going to vote, because that would be helpful too. But I think that there's a lot of people in town that are seeing it our way. I really do. I think that I'm feeling pretty good about it. You know, I think that the town is ready to have some changes. You know, I know the town administrator is retiring. You know, and I don't want to badmouth him. I think he has done some good things, but I would like to be involved with the next process on finding a new one, somebody that's reasonable, that's thinking about things the right way. So anyway, April 26th. I hope you guys vote for me, and thank you for coming.